Today's live, I'm going to be talking about client wins. I've started with a number of new clients this month, and I've got a couple that are also graduating, and I've got one that's graduating today, right after I do this live. So it's just going to be a short one today. Some of the client wins from my small coaching group. We have just started week 2, and we've had some really fantastic wins so far. One mum messaged me that mealtimes are now enjoyable, and she's feeling a lot less stressed. Another mum who I've started working with, we just had our second call yesterday, and she told me that her daughter has twice now tried and eaten carrots and also tried capsicum or bell peppers for the first time. She also is a child that is really struggling to eat meat, and they were away in this last week. And yesterday on the phone, she told me that her daughter had eaten spaghetti and bolognese, and she'd also eaten a different kind of pizza, which normally she will eat a pizza made at home, but not bought out somewhere. And this was a pizza that they had bought from a chain restaurant that she had eaten about a quarter of a piece of. And for the spaghetti bolognese, she had eaten like a whole serve of it, which is huge. In one of my continuing groups, so sometimes I have parents that have very extreme picky eaters, and after they finish a small coaching group, they still feel like they need additional support, which is very normal, especially when it's been something that you've been struggling with for many years. There's often more work that needs to be done, and these mums, I've got 3 in this group, and one mum told me that her daughter ate cheese, a new kind of cheese, and the issue that this mum's been having is that her daughter has been much more willing to try a food, but then won't go back and eat it again. She'll sort of say, oh, yep, like I've tried that, great, moving on, and back to my safe things. But with the cheese, she actually had gone back and eaten quite a few more pieces, which is a huge, huge win. Another thing that we're working on with several of my clients at the moment is meat. So one of the mums in my small group that is continuing also is working on meat, and I've had a couple of mums that they're working on meat. We're trying out a few different things. The client that I've just started with, that I had a call with yesterday, we were talking about she's going to try a new kind of, it is a processed meat, and I kind of told her, I said, look, it's not my favorite thing to recommend, but I want you to try it because it's a great gateway that could be a nice easy win, which helps boost the child's confidence with trying something new, especially something that is meat. If you start with something that's highly likable, that's a really great way to get things kicked off and started. I had another child so they were serving burgers, and she had put the burger on top of the bun, and the child decided she didn't want it there, so she pulled it off. But she still ate the burger she ate the bun with some things in it, but the burger had left a little bit of juice and some of the grill marks on the bun, which she ate, which I know some of you might be thinking like, well, that's not a win. She didn't eat the actual meat, but it actually is a win because she trusted the bun enough, even though it had still touched the thing she didn't want to eat, in order to eat it. So that actually is a really big deal. Let me see. I'm going back into my group right now. So my small group, when we had our second call this week, pretty much everybody is now sticking to their schedule. We are not doing snacks constantly throughout the day anymore, which was a pretty big issue for several parents. Strategies on bribing, which is really great. Parents are working a lot on not bribing and what to do instead of bribing. All right, I've got about 2 minutes before my next call, and so I'm scrolling back. Most of the questions are on TikTok, but if you have questions, feel free to pop them in. I'm going to answer a couple of them right now. So as always, if you have a child that you want to get help with, and you've seen my lives, you've seen my videos, and you're like, oh my God, like I'm ready to do this, send me a message. I do have some discovery call spots open. My one-on-one coaching program is booked till March. However, I am accepting new clients at this time, because I have a few clients, like I've just started with a bunch. I've got a couple on my wait list, but I am accepting new clients at this time. Now, I'm seeing a few questions about ARFID. I have a couple of children right now that I'm working with that have ARFID. And I remember early on in my practice, I was like, oh, I'm not sure about working with kiddos like that. But the more children I've worked with, I believe have had undiagnosed ARFID and have had really great results with. One of my clients was a 4-year-old boy who was only eating 2 foods. After we worked together for 3 months, he was eating 14 foods and he had tried over 30 foods. So that's a really huge improvement. One of the mums that I was working with, she just graduated last week, had an 8-year-old with ARFID. And at the moment, I've started working with a client earlier this month that has, I think he's 6, and he also has diagnosed ARFID. And in the last week, so we just had our second call this week, and the parents have modified their behavior in a number of ways that we talked about in the call. And she actually reflected that he seemed much more relaxed at the meal times, which is huge, really big deal. Okay, so for my food throwers, I have a playlist on YouTube with 3 different videos in it about how you can tackle food throwing right from the get-go. Also, my Mealtimes Without Meltdowns course, which is the link. There's a link in my bio for it. It's my best-selling course. Thousands of parents worldwide covers food throwing as well. If your child is over 1 year old, that course is applicable to you. It goes through how to manage picky eating, how to respond to it, even as your kid gets older. Took me months to find a combination of rice and mashed potatoes. My daughter is at the point, she at one point was hospitalized because she refused to drink or eat for a week. So that leads me to believe that there might be, like, without obviously knowing more information, it sounds like there could be quite a lot of anxiety around the child's eating. And that's something that I do help my clients with. One of the clients that's graduating today had actually told me at the beginning that she didn't realize that she could actually spit out a food that she didn't want in her mouth. So this is a really big change and improvement. And we want children to know that they have that level of autonomy. So working with food anxiety is something that is very near and dear to me, because the idea that a child is anxious over food and that a parent feels that they have no other choice but than to pressure the child is something that I want to help parents with. It's a big part of my practice. I've got time for one more question and then I have to go, unfortunately. Okay, so I've got a playlist about neurodivergent children on TikTok. Go and watch that, because I do work with children that are either autistic on the spectrum or have other neurodivergent. Like one of the little girl that I've started working with this month. We had a second call yesterday. She is neurodivergent, and we're only a week in and she's tried like 5 different new things, including 2 different vegetables and a bolognese sauce with meat in it, and a new kind of pasta, which was spaghetti. So children that are neurodiverse have a much higher likelihood of having problems eating. So it's really important to get started early on so that it doesn't become an issue, because it usually becomes a parent issue as well, in that you get very nervous and anxious about helping your child through those issues. So the sooner you get started on that, and the what am I trying to say? The strategies for helping a child that is neurodivergent may vary a little bit, but they're quite similar to the the same strategies that you use to help a typical child, a neurotypical child. It's more about how you go about implementing it. So how do you modify the conversation and the communication so that the child can understand you and be engaged in the way that we want them to be. All right, that is all, unfortunately, that I have time for today, because I've got to get on this call with a client. However, if you check out my page and that you're interested in working with me, you can go and either book a call directly on my website, which you can go to the link in my bio and tap the 3 lines and go work with me, or just send me a DM and we can chat that way and see if we're the right fit to work together. All right, I hope you have a lovely day and I will speak to you soon. I'll be hopefully live again tomorrow morning. I would love that. All right, and I'll answer your questions then. Bye.